What's the matter, Hangman? Can't sleep?
Cowboy shit!
I need my
older brother! Who the fuck is Rip Garrison? God damn it! Baby, back real!
You are now listening to Dark Side of the Elite with Randy Charpentier, Eric Reed, and Matt Roberts.
Hey everybody, Zane66 Randy here of the Dark Side of the Elite, and today we're going to go through the AEW Revolution results. Today, it's myself, Randy, Zane66. We got Matt, Magnificent Matt, with his piece. We got Eric Reed, and a special guest, big fan of the show, good friend of ours, Eric Trump. How you doing today, Eric?
Good, how are you?
Great. And thanks for joining us today. So today what we're going to do is just go over match by match. We're not going to go play by play, hip toss, collar elbow hookup, nothing like that. We'll just go match by match. Who won the match, and probably spots of the match, because that's what's most important, right? So, again, AEW Revolution, to me, was a great pay-per-view last night. Yeah, we'll go over maybe some of the sparklers that may have went off, or jets, or whatever may happen, as per the intro, if you guys watched it. But, yeah, we'll go over it. All in all, a good show. You guys think so the same?
Yeah, I do. I really enjoyed the show. The ending was a little bit disappointing and took away from what was, I thought, a really fun match. But aside from a little bit of a lull maybe in the middle of the show, it was a long show. But all in all, I thought the big matches that I was excited for delivered, especially the Sting and Darby street fight. I thought that was really cool, and we'll get into that when we get there. But yeah, all in all, aside from the ending, which I know is the big talk, I enjoyed watching the show for the most part, yeah.
Fantastic. So let's go right into the pre-show. The pre-show started off with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Maki Itoh versus Thunder Rosa and Riho. Now, guys, Britt Baker and Itoh won. I like this match. It was a strong opener, because I'm going to shit on maybe one other woman's match in this. But it was a very strong opener. Good to see Maki there. All in all, it worked pretty good, right? Britt Baker and Itoh won when Reba hit a crutch on Thunder Rosa, and then Britt pinned her for the 1-2-3. Good finish, good match. A lot of crazy stuff going on, especially the headbutts, right? And the crazy, I call it like the Japanese Alexa Bliss type thing. I never heard of her before until a couple of months ago. I did do some research on her and watched some of her matches. Her matches in the tournament were fantastic, I thought, especially the first one. It's just a different character, and good to see a different character coming in, and especially in the spot she's in. What about you, Matt? What did you think?
I wanted to back up to the beginning of the match and just how Maki Itoh was even inserted into this match to begin with, because it started off with Britt Baker on the ramp cutting a promo about how Reba has been injured and that Tony Khan has agreed to a replacement for a tag partner replacement, and that was led up to the surprise introduction of Maki Itoh being Britt's tag partner. So I guess they realized that they could get Maki Itoh there in time for the show, and then kind of had to do a little bit of an angle here to get Reba out, put her on the crutches again, which led to the finish of the match too. But an interesting way to get Maki Itoh in. My one criticism would be is that Maki Itoh was treated very much like a babyface, but she was on the heel team. And so there was kind of only one heel in the match in Britt Baker, so it kind of killed the dynamic there a little bit, because there was pretty much 3 babyface women's wrestlers involved. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty solid showing. But Maki Itoh's entrance where she comes out singing, it was like a dozen cats getting beaten a bag of hammers. I was just like, oh my god, this is so bad. But she had a couple of funny spots too, including doing a crying spot, and she stomped Thunder Rosa's feet in the middle of the match. But and her like big move is the kokeshi, where she just like
Side
plants
of
and
her
like
head.
falls at the side of her head. So she was pretty fun to watch. I thought Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker looked really good in this match specifically. I think those two have a bright future, like as the top of the division. And there was a couple like cold tags, like where there's not. I don't know. It was an okay match. But yeah, it was interesting how they brought Maki Ito in, but I thought it was kind of a weird dynamic putting her on the heel team. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts summed up for the most part.
What about you, Eric? T, what do you think, our guest?
Oh well, first of all, I thought that the girl that was coming out would have been Zelina Vega, because there was a lot of rumors going around that it was supposed to be her. So I was actually surprised that it was Maki Ito. The match was okay. I thought it was kind of sloppy in areas, but I'm wondering if it was just because like maybe they just flew in Maki Ito and there wasn't time to really coordinate and do the choreography and whatnot. They keep progressing. Britt keeps progressing as a heel. It's one thing I noticed. She's doing that really well. She's getting over on that character. I mean, her ring skills are not amazing, but they're good. But she's kind of like MJF of her division. She's getting over on that, that real heat that you don't like that character, but it's not like go away heat, right? I liked how they waited for almost to the end of the match for her and Thunder Rosa to tag in, because if you notice, it was just a tag between the other three girls until near the end of the match. So I thought that was a really good build-up, at least for that point of the match. Don't think that feud is over, because Rosa needs to get her due. So I'm wondering if that will end up on a Dynamite or whatnot. Maybe Double or Nothing. Was fine for a buy-in match, but if it was on the pay-per-view, I would consider it a little weaker.
Cool, good observations there. What about you, Eric Reed?
I mean, I don't know. That match was weird for me. Like, I didn't really watch a lot of the women's eliminator tournament, so I don't really know much about Maki Ito. I do like the fact that her finisher and her signature is the Kokeshi. I find it like kind of refreshing, because like you see like a lot of the same stuff. Like we were talking about it earlier today. I counted like how many people have a fucking lariat in their arsenal. I didn't see her throw one lariat. It's fantastic. Like that to me is refreshing. You know what I mean? But also stuff like, I mean, I kind of agree with Eric Trunk. Like whereas Britt Baker is kind of progressing as a heel. She plays that like almost like slimy, like almost like the Ric Flair character. Like she has to cheat every match. So I don't know. Like I like it and I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm probably the biggest mark in here and I, like, oh, she shouldn't win, but, but it was a pretty good opener match. I didn't really have a problem with it. I think Maki Ito is kind of going to be here to stay. So I think it was a good introduction for her to be on a pay-per-view right away and kind of have her name out there. Overall, not a terrible match, but not the best match of the night either.
No, it was a great opener for me. Again, I really think it was a fantastic one to start with. We've definitely seen a lot worse as openers, especially in AEW at the beginning of pay-per-views, but it was a great opener for her. Maki, unfortunately, Twitter made her a face. She is a heel, right? In Japan, her stuff in Japan as heel is good and great, especially the singing part, because I don't understand it and I don't like it. And I have no clue about it. But the Twitter cornet thing turned her face, I guess. And now the stuff that we've seen her on BTE today, as we discussed earlier. I think she'll be around for a bit. Tony Khan had an interview last night, and somebody specifically asked about her, and he said, yeah, she'll be here for a little bit. So I'm presuming 2 weeks, because she just flew in on Saturday, right, or Sunday morning. So at least 2 weeks we'll see her for a little bit. Hopefully she stays, right? Now, sorry, Matt? Oh, I thought you were waving. Sorry, buddy.
No, I'm just moving my mouse around here.
Any question?
No.
So that brings us right into the opening match. I was really, really excited. Chris Jericho and MJF versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Great match to me, all in all. They had a lot of the spots. To me, MJF was the star of the match. Him doing that crotch chopping, suck it over again, so on and so forth, was a great spot. Young Bucks retained. They did a double super kick and a Meltzer driver to Jericho at the end. To me, great match. Great opening match to start it off with. I was pleased. It had all the spots in it. MJF and Jericho looked great too. You see a little dissension in the match, which you guys will definitely go over. But MJF, Jericho never failed to disappoint. Bucks never failed to disappoint. What do you think, Matt?
I really, really enjoyed this match. It was right up there, like as a contender for match of the night for me. MJF and Jericho make such a great classic like heel team that perfectly contrasts the Bucks' ability to wrestle a great babyface style in a tag match. So there was no like gray area of like two half heel teams or two kind of babyface teams. There was an established dynamic right off the bat that really made everyone's roles like clear and defined. And there's a couple really like great spots. One that was particularly confusing to me was Chris Jericho reversed Matt Jackson's tombstone for the Meltzer driver into a tombstone of his own. And then MJF was holding Nick Jackson's leg on the outside, and Nick Jackson just still goes for like the flip anyway, even though Matt was tombstoned like 5 seconds earlier, and then he just gets put in the walls of Jericho. Between that one and the other time when Jericho caught Nick Jackson jumping off the ropes for the Meltzer driver and hit him with the code breaker, I thought those were two like good spots in the match. But just Jericho and MJF doing the Young Bucks pose too, and just being great shit heels the whole time. Young Bucks had new ring gear too. They mentioned that it was designed by Matt's daughter Courtney. So the Young Bucks always pull out fresh gear for pay-per-views, which I'm always a fan of. And I don't know if I noticed this before too, but AEW had their name graphics in gold. So I guess the champions get gold name graphics. But that's just a little detail that I noticed.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Right? Yeah.
It's good.
Almost like the UFC.
Right. Just something small. I don't know how long they've been doing it for, but yesterday was the first time I noticed it. And in terms of the dissension, later on in the show, when they do the promo backstage where Marvez asks Jericho, like, says that they failed tonight winning the titles and that they announced that there's going to be, what is Dynamite's going to be like an inner circle War Council
meeting.
Right. And so they're like, there's going to be some changes in the inner circle. And MJF says, like, yeah, I've been thinking for a while there's going to be some changes for the better. And to me, my first thought was, here's the next step in the MJF taking over the inner circle storyline. And he's going to blame the loss on Jericho because Jericho took the fall.
Yeah.
So I think that's where this storyline goes next. Yeah! But that's my general thoughts on the match. But it was a really, really great match. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Eric? Trunk? Sorry?
All right. So I'll probably be the Judas of this match. That's a good word to use for this. I wasn't a big fan of this match. What? I did like parts of it, but there was other things I didn't like about it. I thought it was kind of a weird match to open with, but Jericho grabbing the belt when Aubrey had the belts like this, that's classic Jericho. And I've just the little things they're not scripted. They're improv, right? Like he's just hilarious. He knows how to get you every time. He's great that way. I just thought that, and a lot of wrestling hurts from this. There's the amount of selling is really, really bad in this match. People are up way too quickly. Like, there's what's his name gets the bat and the heat seeker, and was it Matt Jackson or Nick Jackson got the heat seeker and got the bat to the back?
Yeah,
like to me, that's a 3 count unless your partner can come in and for the save. Like there was a lot of like where it should have been the partner should come in for the save, but they're not around, so it's like they're telling kick out, right? Like it's like it's just too many high spot. That's fine, but it has to be coordinated better. And maybe I was a little harsh on the match. I did like the fact that it was the Bucks versus guys that weren't really a tag team. So you didn't have like those combo moves versus those combo moves of the, that are set styles from both guys. It was a lot different, right? My favorite spot of the match was probably when Jericho went from Lion Tamer to Lion Tamer. I thought that was a really cool spot. It was, it looked really like simple, but it probably wasn't. So I think that I'm surprised Sammy wasn't around. I thought that was kind of like
no mention of him really.
A missed opportunity. So I'm just wondering what's going on with him. But as with Matt said earlier, I think it's going to lead to maybe a heel turn on Jericho. I know they're already heels, but like they're going to turn on him because Jericho, whether he's a face or heel, everybody loves him, so it doesn't really matter what they do with him. And to be honest, I think Inner Circle's kind of run its course by now, and it should either make a different rehaul or overhaul or just kind of go away because it's been a long time.
I was thinking about Jericho as a babyface, and I'm not sure he would be as received so warmly now as maybe would have been a year ago. Like a lot of his stuff he's been doing on Twitter and social media, I think he's turned a lot of people off. And I don't know, like aside from his entrance music, I'm not so sure that he would get the positive reaction that maybe I could be overthinking it, but I'm not so sure as I used to be.
Well, if you remember when he was a face in WWF, and this was back when it was F. Now, mind you, the construct of the what's socially acceptable is a lot different now. But, he'd get over by making fun of all the heels. And he knows how to do that. Rather than now he's making fun of all the faces. So, like, he pretty much just has to switch that around.
Yeah.
And I think he would get over it.
It's hard to argue. Jericho is a master manipulator of the crowd. And, I shouldn't really doubt him. But I just noticed, like, that popular opinion on social media has kind of turned against him in the last year or so, and I'm just wondering if maybe that might affect a large crowd, but it might be putting too much emphasis on small niche portion of the audience.
He has a problem taking constructive criticism. That's the biggest thing I think with him, and he gets really, really pissed about it. But look at the owner of his company. He can't take any criticism. His dad would just bring his checkbook to school if anybody was pissing him off.
And just he seems to be kind of a bit of, I don't want to say a COVID denier, but like he hasn't been sympathetic to the whole situation and having concerts, and people have been showing he was donating to Donald Trump and all this stuff. And like you have your political affiliations or whatever, but between all that and stuff, the news cycle on him in the last year hasn't been totally positive. But again, I might be putting too much stock into that.
I don't think wrestling fans will look at that as much. Like at least hardcore ones maybe wouldn't.
Yeah. What about you, Eric Reed? Shitty Eric. You shitty.
Did you call me shitty, Eric?
Shitty.
Like
Shut
shitty
the
Bill.
fuck up, Eric.
I thought it was a good match. The only thing that I was like a little concerned about was not concerned, I should say. It's more like the fact that the ending of it itself, like we were talking about this last night, I feel like there was far too many, like everything was a 2 count. Everything was a 2 count. Like they were doing way too much of that. Like not that it was a bad match. Like there was a lot of good spots in it too, but like I think that part kind of turned me off of it a little bit. Cause it's like, it seemed like it just kept going on and on. Like there was like 10 minutes there where like everybody was just hitting spot after spot. It's like 2 count, 2 count, 2 count. It's like, okay, someone's got to win this goddamn match. Like, what is going on, right? So, I don't know. That's just my opinion on it, though. I don't.
Well, that's a Young Bucks match, right? Spot after spot, more or less. Anyway. So that's exactly what it is, and I enjoy it. Like I enjoy spot after spot. So that's only me. Again, I think it is entertaining. I think it made MJF look like a great star again for the possible heel turn that you guys said. Again, the suck it spot was funny. To me, match overall was great. And I'm looking forward to, like Matt said, to War Council meeting that is happening Wednesday. I guess the dissension or the falling apart of the inner circle, right? Which brings us to the next match. A lot of people I was hearing were shitting on this match too last night, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite matches of the night. I guess it was the Casino Battle Royal, right? The tag team Battle Royal. I'll tell you guys who were in it. The order of entries were Natural Nightmares, 5 and 10, Santana and Ortiz, Siddell Brothers, Evil and Stu, Gun Club, Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi, Varsity Blondes, Bear Country, Jurassic Express, Butcher and Blade, Private Party, SCU, Pac and Phoenix, and of course our boys, Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Pause up. But
My favorite tag team of the Dark Order, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Good choice. Here, I was presuming the week before there wasn't going to be this many tag teams. They did a lot of, I guess you can say, mocking of WWE in this match with the counter. If you guys noticed, the clock was always up. And the last couple of times you noticed in the Battle Royal, you didn't see the clock winding down, and supposedly people were timing it and make sure people are coming out on time. It sort of screwed it up with this many tag teams, right? It sort of screwed it up or seemed they had to rush it a lot more, to me anyways. It came down, there was a lot of stories being told. People that looked great in this Battle Royal to me were Bear Country.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They look fantastic. Nobody's really seen many eyes on them. I've watched them on Dark. I've enjoyed them on Dark. Me and Eric were talking before. They remind us of a Canadian team up here called TDT. And that would be TDT. And that would make it incredible if they ever were to, like, tag TDT versus Bear Country. But that's another story. Bear Country, Jungle Boy again, going so far over. He looked fantastic. Even the Butcher, right? Butcher they put over pretty well too. Phoenix always looks good. Again, there's a lot of stories going on. The QT Marshall dissension on Dustin. 10 with Jack Evans. Like a lot of stories, and the time seemed to go too quick to sort of explain all of them. But it came down to, I guess you can say, the final four. The final four were
Pac, Phoenix.
Yeah. Pac, Phoenix, John Silver, and Jungle Boy. Hang on, I'll get to the notes. Edit this, Eric. Silver and Pac were pounding each other with fury. Silver ended up on the apron. Phoenix eliminated him with the top tightrope soccer kick. That was a really good spot. Mm-hmm. Pac was out next after Jungle Boy low bridged the rope. Phoenix and Jungle Boy finished with a sprint of crazy moves. Jungle Boy connected with the Poison Rana, and he was also leading Phoenix to the ropes for an elimination. Phoenix swung back to kick him silly. Phoenix clotheslined the dinosaur connoisseur out of the ring for the victory. Now, you guys will go in more detail. I know Matt's Mr. Precise guy, so I was like listening to Matt, and Matt takes the lead. But what did you think of this match?
No, honest, for general thoughts, I always enjoy battle royals like this, and AEW always tries to put some sort of fancy twist on them with varying degrees of success. But I enjoyed this one a lot. It was fast and furious and a bit of a cluster till the end. Once they got down to the final four, I thought it was really fun. Like Silver, Jungle Boy, Pac, and Phoenix were like unreal in there together, and they had some really exciting sequences. John Silver really shining at the end. They're holding his own. Like Pac and Phoenix seem to be like they're a level above everyone else that was in that match. Like Ray Phoenix especially. This guy is unfriggin' believable. Like he might be even like a next level from what Rey Mysterio like brought to like North American wrestling all those years ago. He's unbelievable. But at the beginning it was a little sloppy. I couldn't help but laugh. Like Santana and Ortiz and Five and Dime were trying to do these like real elaborate sequences, and Dustin Rhodes was trying to kind of get in there and like just brawl. But he was just kind of like always just in the way, and you could see him. You just like moving to the corner and getting the hell out of the way, and constantly just kind of like trying to do something, but just get in the way of like them trying to do all this elaborate stuff. But yeah, the main story that they focused on to me was the QT Marshall elimination of the Gun Club, and then spitting back at Dustin Rhodes after QT jumped over the top rope himself. So I didn't really see that one coming. QT Marshall heel turn, but here we are. I really don't think anyone's. I don't know. I don't care that much about the Gun Club or the Nightmare Family and like the personalities involved there. So maybe something like this could spice it up a little bit, but I don't know. Other than that, and yeah, Jack Evans helping eliminate 10. So it's two times 10's been screwed over by Jack Evans in the span of like a week here. I'm more interested in that storyline myself. But all in all, I thought it was a good battle royal that really peaked at the end. And yeah, Phoenix and Pac winning to go on. They face the Young Bucks next, right?
Yeah.
That's going to be unbelievable match right there. That's going to be everything you would want out of like a Young Bucks style match, where the high spots are going to be as high as you can get kind of thing with those guys. So I am looking forward to it. One last thing, sorry, before I move on. I kind of laughed at how they got out of the Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian story, where if they lose one match, they'll never team again. And it's like, well, Tony Schiavone's like, well, what if they lose this? It's like, it's a battle royal. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. It's got to be a straight up tag match. So it's like right there, okay, they're not winning. But so a little creative liberties there, but yeah, those are my general
creative
thoughts.
Ignorance, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think the comment. I think it was Jim Ross that said it. I don't think he should have said that right away.
Well, they should they shouldn't have even been in the match then, if that's their storyline, right? And they're not going to win. They really shouldn't. But I guess they wanted to get them on the show. They have some star power, I guess. But so they just kind of threw a little line in there to try to cover their butts. But it's a little bit of lazy booking, I guess, if you want to phrase it that way.
Yeah, and what you said too about the Pac and John Silver, when they stood face to face, like nose to nose type thing, they're not big dudes, but they're big dudes. When
they're side by each other, they're short, stocky guys. Yeah.
So when
John
they were
Silver's...
like a lot of similarities and a lot of differences in like nose to nose type things. So good point on that.
Silver and Reynolds were looking fresh in their new gear too.
Yeah,
they had the silver. Like trimmed with the purple and black, they look like stars in their like nice fresh gear. Like I thought they really are good. I think they're gonna be in that tag title mix eventually here.
Yeah,
but, yeah. Silver's kicks and everything too. He's when he catches fire and goes crazy, he's fun to watch.
That's right. What about you, Eric? Anything you want to point out? Eric Trunk? Sorry, point out that match.
So yeah, I liked the battle royal a lot because my team won that I wanted to win, because 2 out of my 3 favorite wrestlers in AEW are Pac and Phoenix. So you can guess what the third one is. So. But
Marco's
son. No, Sunny Kiss. But
Brandon Cutler.
Brandon Cutler. Sean Spears. Yeah, Bear Country, like you're saying, I was surprised. It was kind of like, it reminded me of like, okay, these guys are going to be, if they're not signed already, they're going to be signed, and they're going to give them a bit more TV time as time goes on. It reminded me of kind of like at, I think it was All Out, that battle royal they had with Will Hobbs. And he did really well in that, right? So they gave him a signing, and they put him with Team Taz, so he's been getting some TV time and whatnot, right? So I was impressed with them. They're like big, like kind of Paul Bunyan kind of guys. They're not super like ripped or anything, but I like it. They're just big, strong farm boys. But
don't they remind you of Heavy Machinery a little bit?
Kind of
a little bit,
a little bit more like
little, not
Arkansas,
exactly the same, but yeah.
They were good. The other things, yeah, I liked the QT Marshall Dustin thing. I just like wonder if like it will go anywhere. Like
who's gonna care?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing a match, but like don't make it a long drawn out thing. Like that's the problem I have with AEW. A lot of times is they have these long drawn out storylines, or they start something and then never finish it. So if you're going to do something with it, do it while the kettle's hot, and just do it right away when people remember it, and just get it over with. You know what I mean? But Pac and Phoenix, I think that'll be a great with the Bucks as well, because it's nice seeing not the Lucha Brothers versus the Bucks again, because we've seen that so many times, right? We know what to expect from that. Pac will bring a difference, and they'll have different combo moves that they'll probably be working on before that match comes out. I think that could be a tag team match of the year, potentially. But I'm wondering if that should wait for a pay-per-view rather than a Dynamite. What other things that I like about it? It was just fun. It was good. Not really much else to add. You guys have touched on pretty much the same points. So.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. I agree. So
What about yourself, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, like Eric said, you guys have pretty much touched on most of it. There was only one spot that I really liked, and we talked about it earlier with that BTE promo that they cut, or not the promo, sorry, the video package that they put together for Revolution. And Silver with that, does anybody know what his signature move is called? Where he brings him up in almost like an F5, but then it turns into Sami Zayn's move with the Sunset Powerbomb.
Yeah, there is a name for it. It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, that looked awesome. Him hitting that.
That's a sick move. That's a sick move. Yeah,
and also Jungle Boy doing that it's kind of like a reverse destroy.
That gets so annoying.
I love it.
And Austin Gunn's probably the most annoying crowd person ever.
Oh my god!
I'll add that.
I hate them. Yeah.
Way of guys to just capitalize on their dad.
I know. Both of them doing
the famouser.
Yeah. They look just like him too. Exactly.
Colton really does.
Yeah.
Colton's definitely, to me, the one with his father's arrogance, anyways. That you can definitely shine through, anyway.
I just like them to have a match, and at the end, Brian Cage just come out and fucking destroy them. It would be amazing.
Either way, though, I think the match was great. I do like Bear Country shining. I do wish that they would have a match versus TDT, only because that would be great as the Tabernacle, that team, and have them and I don't know. There was so many teams in there, and I agree with Randy. I think it just they gave a time limit to it, and I think that really, you needed that time to kind of stretch out those stories and kind of make them work. And I feel like they kind of rushed a lot of things, but it did further quite a bit of storyline as well. So, I mean, good with the bad. I would say it was pretty good. You know what I mean? I didn't really have a problem with it.
Before we continue, I got a question. Can anybody tell me why Top Flight and Hybrid 2 were both not in the match?
I have no clue.
Yeah, Top Flight, I don't know. Hybrid 2, maybe just to do that Jack Evans angle. Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, I have no idea.
And Helico was very injury prone. I remember in Lucha Underground, he was always injured. So I was wondering if that was it. But Top Flight, I was surprised that they were not in there, to be honest.
Who totally
thought they'd be.
There was who took their spots, because the graphic did change about a week ago, right?
Everybody took their spots. It was 10.
They just kept adding.
Yeah, they kept adding.
I thought maybe it was Silver and Reynolds, though. The first graphic I saw after that was Silver and Reynolds were in, and the only reason I think was only because of the whole Hangman storyline with them already being on the card, and you already had pretty much everybody else from the Dark Order. It's let's just throw them in too. You know what I mean? But they gave Silver a big push. I was very surprised on that too. For him to come down the Final Four, that's huge for him. Massive.
Well, didn't Top Flight just before Acclaim have that number one, or have that chance for the title? Maybe that's the reason why, because it was Top Flight, then the Acclaimed, and now it was MJF and Jericho, right?
They wrestled the Young Bucks on Dynamite a month or two ago.
Right. So maybe that's the reason why. I have no clue. But yeah, good question. Good question there, Eric. Where were they? Everybody else was there.
Yeah.
So it brings us to the next match. And I will tell you guys, I was on a pod last night and on all these boards, and everybody was proclaiming this was the best match ever. And I walked into a group on a radio show, and they assaulted me with saying how it was stupid. But we got Shida going against Ryo Mizunami. Now, to me again, terrible match. They did the same spots. I think the match was 23, 25 minutes long, but they did the same spots for the last 12 to 15 minutes over and over and over and over. And Eric Trump, I know you said earlier about seeing same spots over and over. I think there was 8 Falcon arrows. I think there was 450 knees in this match. And you're talking about not selling? Nobody sold in this match whatsoever.
No, I agree.
So to me, you had Shida winning and retaining the belt, but again, I don't know how people are liking this match, but one of the matches I did not like. Eric Trunk, what did you think about this match, my friend?
So when I heard that there was going to be an eliminator tournament originally, I was like, oh, this will be great, right? And then I realized it was all like New Japan or Japan on one side. I was like, fuck, man, like, because it ended up being Shida and Ryo Mizunami, and I'm like, okay, something that, in my opinion, I don't think it would be that great here, because it's like something that you could have had in Japan so many fucking times. Why do a whole eliminator tournament just to have this again? And it's also a feud we do not understand because we don't speak Japanese. Most Japanese Americans don't speak Japanese. So my whole point is like, it just seemed like, okay, for Shida because Eric told me that Shida was booking this or helped book it, right?
She produced the show, yes.
Yeah, like, why just do it just to book yourself over? It's like, okay, Jarrett, like, fuck, like, you know, I just thought it was kind of, it's just stupid. Because,
Yeah, do a little double J strut.
choke on that,
Double F.
You know, but you know, I thought the match. In terms of intensity, it was a pretty intense match. I can say that. But in terms of just everything else, it just, I don't know. I hated like the stupid like choreography, like the mime shit that fucking Ryo Mizunami was doing. It's like you're in the middle of like a championship match, just like enough with that. Like just, and it was one of the rare matches, and I'll mention the other match later on. It was one of the rare matches that really didn't protect finishers. It was just like you were saying, spot finisher after finisher after finisher after finisher, right? You'd think like they would, you know, considering there's no like they know each other well, they speak the same language perfectly. Like you think they would have like a better coordinated match, but I don't know. It wasn't. It could have been a better match with Shida versus someone else. Not necessarily saying not someone from New Japan, but maybe someone else. But like, it just wasn't that eliminator tournament to me was just a complete waste. And it just didn't end up with a good payoff. Some of the qualifying matches were good, but they were actually better than the end result, which is, you know, isn't their intent, but that's how it happened.
I agree. Good points there, Eric. Tell us what you really think. No, I'm joking. Eric Reed. Eric Reed.
You know what? We talked about this the other day, and I with the Maki Ito match, I know it's like a Japanese style of wrestling where you sell a lot of, or not sell, sorry, you have like a taunt a lot of the times, like Eric was saying, she's doing the mime shit and stuff like that. Ryo Mizunami, to me, every time she does a move, she feels like she has to taunt. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
she looks
good point.
like my character in WWE 2K14 trying to build up a signature move. I'm gonna be honest. like I do just like a body slam quick. It's like taunt to the crowd. You know what I mean?
That's great.
It's a good strategy. It works, bro.
I mean, it does build up signatures fast, so I'll give her that. But
I wonder if she saw it in a video game and thought it would work in real life.
It's more of like it's the Japanese style of how they wrestle. They're always performing to the crowd, right? So that's kind of where the main like where it comes from. So I understand it. I'm just not a big fan of like how many times she did it this match. Like it just seemed like every time it's like turn around, oh, big sell. All I did was like just give her a quick eye gouge. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that match had, I don't know. It wasn't the best match on the card, and I would almost go to say it's second next to the next match. It was the second worst match next to the next match. So I wasn't a big fan of it though, for sure.
Mr. Magnificent Matt Roberts, what do you think, sir?
When the Eliminator tournament was first announced, I was also excited for it, but I'll admit I never ended up watching any of the Japanese bracket matches on YouTube. I don't know anything about Ryo Mizunami. I don't know anything about the feud that her and Hikaru Shida had that dates way back. That they mentioned like this isn't what a battle between two old rivals, and I guess like from someone Tony Khan booking this and being familiar with that story or whatever, it's great. Me as a viewer, I have no idea. And so I just watched this match and just took it in for what it was, which was just literally what was in front of me. I didn't have much investment in either character, to be honest. And wrestling, that for me, if I'm not into anyone in the match, I don't have the same excitement about it. But I thought they did work hard. I thought they hit hard. I thought like they were suplexing and hitting, and everything was hard. And like Eric was saying, the intensity is there. But I guess they spammed a lot of finishers at the end. But there was even like kind of a confusing post-match too, with Nyla Rose coming out with Vicky Guerrero to lay a beatdown on the two girls. And then Britt Baker, Maki Ito, and Reba come out to help with the beatdown. And then Thunder Rosa comes out to save Hikaru Shida and Ryo Mizunami. So I guess the cast from the buy-in match came out to help the two girls in this match from a heel beatdown. All in all, like I just kind of took it for what it was. I didn't hate it. I just watched it and I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't have much investment emotionally into this, so it kind of just came and went for me.
Yeah, good points. Good points and all. Yeah, the aftermath of what he said, there's going to be a trios tag match, I guess, this week on Dynamite. Something to look forward to, can we say?
I wonder if the what's next for then Shida, because Shida, it looks like they're gonna be, she's their longest reigning champion so far in AEW, and I'm thinking maybe at Double or Nothing maybe she loses, but like I'm thinking, who do you think logically she should lose to? Personally, I think Britt Baker should win the title.
Britt Baker's a slam dunk to be a women's champion eventually.
I think having her character change, that completely rejuvenated her career. So I think that she could do it, unless you want to, because if you put it on, it looks like Nyla's going for it again. Like if you put it on Nyla, then you have to find a face to get it, right? Like, so maybe it'll be a triple threat and the three of them will be in it or something. That would be kind of interesting, right? And then maybe Britt goes over. Like Nyla as champion again. I don't think anybody's...
Thunder Rosa's name is in the mix here now, too. She's pretty solid.
She is, but I wonder until she actually signs with AEW, will they give her that belt?
Well, right, okay. I thought she signed. She didn't yet.
No,
there's a 1-year agreement with NWA.
Right.
Okay.
To share the talent.
So a little scenario short, I guess. NWA starts their pay-per-views up again at the end of this month. Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb's still the NWA champ. So you got Serena Deeb, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, a whole bunch of different choices on it. What about Trinidad? You said it earlier. That could be in the near future too. Maybe that's a girl that might beat her. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm glad sort of this collabs going on for the women's sake to see all these different women wrestle, because we wouldn't have had a Thunder Rosa, right? We wouldn't have even seen the Japan girls come over either. So I know I shit on this match. In turn, it's not that I don't look forward to it. It just I didn't like there was no selling whatsoever, and the same match, the same move over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, bringing in a lot of the talent that they have for their women has actually helped their division a lot because think about this. Okay, Hikaru Shida is their AEW Women's Champion, but who's really above her? I can think of two women that are definitely above her that are there right now, whether they're on an AEW contract or not. Thunder Rosa's number one. I don't think anybody can say that she's not. And two is Serena Deeb.
Yeah, no, that's right. You're right. No, you're right on those aspects of it. Yes, most definitely. They're more experienced, a lot older. So I don't know. I agree with you 100% on it. But we're talking about shitting on matches. Speaking about shitting on matches, next match up is Miro and Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. Don't get me wrong, the beginning of it was all right with all the I guess what would you call it?
With the backstage shenanigans?
Backstage shenanigans going on. But then it just, I don't know. Like, I like Miro as a beast, but I don't know. I really don't know. In the long run, Miro and Kip easily defeated them, almost like a semi-squash to me. But Eric Reed, what did you think of it?
I mean, what is there really to say? It was the only match on the card I wasn't really excited for. You know what I mean? This storyline is just, I felt like it's gone on way too long. It's not really hitting. It's just kind of like just a way to make Miro look good and unfortunately drag Orange Cassidy through the mud at the same time. He's kind of losing a lot of momentum being involved in this storyline, I would think. Like, this is a guy who, like, if you talked about, like, earlier of 2020, like, say, like, March of 2020, I would have said could have been TNT champion. Now, I don't see it. You know what I mean?
He's still very over. I think they can just put him back.
I know.
Okay, what do you think?
My opinion. I know, like, it doesn't look good for him, but it's like to build him all the time, given to what his character is.
Yeah.
It makes sense to kind of like, it's like you're bringing him out of his shell of intensity every now and then, right? Like, it's kind of like, it's like, let's release him, right? Like, I kind of like that he just kind of goes in kind of like a side storyline and then might get a big push or something.
I also feel that whole trio is really losing with Trent still out. Like, once Trent comes back, I feel like that could reinvigorate their whole gimmick, you know what I mean? Because, like, Trent was the biggest part of Best Friends. Like, he's a great wrestler. He's great on the mic. He's, creative. Like, he understands the storylines a bit better, so he can maneuver it where he wants to. But otherwise, not a great match, in my opinion.
Mr. Trunk?
Yeah, kind of like what Eric said. It didn't. This storyline's gone on a little too long. I did like the end, though, of how he knocked Penelope off. But I think that they shouldn't waste too much time and just kind of build on that and have just not even an angle, but just Miro just turn on him and then just go on his own. I'm not saying particularly make Kip face either, but like just kind of get him out of that team and just kind of get him to go on his own, because it was fun at first. Miro's hilarious, but it's run its course now. At least, especially with Best Friends, it's run its course. Chuck Taylor, they always make him like he's the jobber of the group, right? So he's the one that, they're keeping Orange strong. One thing I thought was hilarious was Miro really kind of, I like selling, but this was kind of like overselling the Orange Punch. You know what I mean? He was down for a while with that, which I'm like, okay, I'd rather him be down for a while than like back up right away. But it was kind of like, I guess I'm never satisfied that way, but it wasn't a good match. But I think that the way that they ended it would be a good way for Miro to just break out on his own and just be a fucking monster and just beat everybody in his path, but still have that dark humor to him. I think that would be a great angle to do with him. I think that would be really cool.
Great points. Mr. Roberts.
I don't know if I've ever seen a feud that has so many classic wrestling tropes be totally bungled so badly. Like a wrestling wedding, like one of the lamest ones ever pulled off. You have Chuck Taylor as the butler, and that could have been some really great stuff. You could have done some like vignettes where it's Miro treating Chuck as the butler like shit, actually making him do butler stuff, like actually show them like at his house or out and about or doing something with that gimmick. They had it for a couple weeks, and he said all he had to do was say, "Miro's my best friend now." Like that was the extent of like the punishment Miro put Chuck through as the butler. Like, and I don't know, it's like whoever was overseeing all of this, and like it was so many things that could have been so simply done, and it was so not done well at all.
Well, the best wedding like has to go to Chuck, but it's not Chuck Taylor, it's Billy and Chuck. Okay,
Billy and Chuck with Eric Bischoff, yeah, that was one of the best ones. That's what I mean. Like the wrestling playbook was there for this feud to like at least execute it better than they have, and it has gone on for so long. And if you include like the BTE stuff of like Kip Sabian and Miro like playing video games against like Leva Bates, and it's just like, oh my god,
rough. So fucking rough.
like all of it combined is so bad. And even this match, like the beatdown pre-match was so lame. Like they slammed Orange Cassidy on like a road case backstage, and he misses the first like 12 minutes of the match or whatever. like come on. And then yeah, Miro sold an orange punch. Like Miro's like leg is thicker than Orange Cassidy's whole body.
Well, Orange is the king of sloth style, man. It takes him to get anywhere.
I guess I don't know. Like it could have been so much better. I just hope this is finally over with because I like that some of the people, the individual talents involved in this. I don't have issues with any of them really, but just the way this has all been executed and done has been really poor and hasn't done any of them any favors. But they can hit the reset on Orange Cassidy or Miro or whatever and do something different with them. But just for the love of God, put a bullet in this and be done with it.
Mm. At the end of this match too, we had the big reveal on who AEW's newest signing was going to be, or is. And who was it? Eric Reed, will I say? Because
it was Eric?
No. he was telling me, and I said, there's no way
Yeah.
all week. So
I did read a lot about how it was going to be Christian, and I also thought, no fucking way it's going to be Christian. That was the first thing in my mind.
Kurt Angle. I thought it was going to be Kurt Angle.
I think they might have paid him just to do that goddamn Twitter video.
Did you see that video? Yeah, I was like, oh, fucking Kurt Angle. I'm like, he just ruined it.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you know what? They might have paid him just to do that, just to throw the scent off of Christian. But I don't know. I thought for sure with Edge being like in a main title slot right now with WWE, that why would it be Christian? It doesn't make any sense.
Signed to WWE as well.
That's what I thought too.
I thought
Maybe
the Rumble was like a shoe-in for him.
You know what's actually sad? Oh, sorry, Randy.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, you know what's actually sad is for like 10 years, Edge and Christian were done. And then now they're both back at like the top of their game in great shape, and we don't even get one Edge and Christian tag match. Like Vince fucked that up. You couldn't get one Edge and Christian tag match. It's never gonna happen now.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
And then sign Kurt, and then they could do that. Remember when Kurt was with them? That was awesome.
You think you know me? You think you know me?
You think you know me?
Edge came up with the "You Suck" thing too. Edge.
Two things.
Kurt Angle's song, yeah.
Two things that happened that threw me off. I'll just say real quick. When Paul White said, "Can outwork everybody," I definitely thought it was Kurt Angle maybe then at that time too, because he's never used that catchphrase at all.
Yeah,
ever.
Has Christian used that catchphrase? I was like,
Never.
that doesn't. I'm like, that didn't give me much of a clue at all.
No, none. So that's the only.
Not even in TNA as Christian Cage did he use that.
But did you notice that's his theme music sounded a lot like his TNA theme music?
It was pretty much the same.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
Well, it's because with Impact, the agreement with Impact, they probably can use all those rights, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But the second thing is where was it going? What did I just say about the second thing? Oh, I completely forgot. No, Paul White doing that one thing. The Christian Cage. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. All I know is it's a shame that they didn't use that Story of the Year song. That's all I know. Close your eyes and I'll miss.
I think it would have been hilarious if, it's a future Hall of Famer, and then Paul White, Big Show just comes out, and it's just it's me. I'm not a Hall of Famer.
That was also my second theory, by the way.
That would have been hilarious.
Now I know what he's going to say. Tony Khan did a post interview last night. He did talk about the Christian Cage signing. He said that he only talked to him like 3 or 4 weeks ago, right after the Royal Rumble match, scene. And remember that I think it was the Raw where Christian came out with Edge that one day, right after Rumble, right? Wasn't it that week?
Might have been.
Yes,
I remember him in the Rumble. I didn't see the Raw after. I saw him in the Rumble.
Yeah, he was on a Raw, like the Raw right after.
After. And then Christian, I guess something happened. And then Christian called Tony and said, "Hey, can I work for you?" type thing, because they're already type friends. He said, "Yeah, man, come right over, right ahead." So I guess that deal worked out. And it's good. All in all, I know I wasn't shitting on the signing either, because I think it is a good signing. But I was expecting somebody bigger. Like, you know what I mean? Or
do you think AEW overpromised and underdelivered here? I don't want to say that because I'm a big fan of Christian. I think backstage is really where he's going to help the most.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the way this angle was presented is like, Christian's a big star and all. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean any disrespect because Christian's a legend and he's a great, great wrestler and I'm a big fan. But I think people might have been hoping for maybe something a little, I don't know.
The way they explained it was like Brock Lesnar and CM Punk were coming on the same.
Well, that's where your fans' imaginations naturally go right away, and that's what I mean. There was no way you were gonna actually like pull either of those off. I don't think right now.
No.
But if you had it would have been nuts. But I think Christian debuting might have even been more impactful if you didn't hype it up. And he just showed up on the card because no one thought he was. Everyone thought he was tied to WWE.
Yeah, you build it up. It could disappoint, right? It didn't disappoint for me because I've always been a huge Christian fan. I thought when he went to TNA, I thought that was his best era was as Christian Cage because I think that WWE kind of was like, okay, well, we got Edge in the main picture, so we don't need Christian, but it's going to be unpopular opinion, but I prefer Christian over Edge. I always have. I always thought he was better in ways. I've preferred him, I guess you could say. They're both great, but I hope that what they do with him is not like I don't want him in the world title picture or anything like that because unless he can go a lot because
he's saying he can.
He can't?
He's saying he can. He's
saying he can, but so does Edge. And look what happened, right?
Well, no, Christian looked good in the Rumble.
He did
For somebody, he looked really good in the Rumble.
He looked in great shape. He got himself in great shape for it. He gave some good moves. It's just that, I mean, if you put him as a champion, I want a fighting champion. I don't want, every now and then champion. You know what I mean?
I get it.
WWE did that with Lesnar enough. That I don't want to see that. It's just like having Matt Hardy, who, mind you, doesn't look in great shape, but I don't want him in the world title picture either. He's great to have there. It's great to put him in matches, get him in angles and stuff like that.
Even Sting, I don't want Sting in the world title picture either, but he's really helping elevate Darby Allin. If you could find a role for Christian and get him in a blood feud or some sort of grudge match or something like that.
Well, you got to use him and use Paul White too, sparingly. You know what I mean? You can use him every now and then too,
sparingly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? At least, but that's what the will do with him, right? It's especially him. He can't have a world title picture.
No.
Ever.
I hope not.
anything. He'll be like a twice a year kind of
Big Show versus Shaq. Let's get that WrestleMania match that we never got all those years ago.
There you go. All right, so comes right into the next match of the night, a match that I guess I was happy to see the storyline sort of progress or sort of end, I guess you can sort of say, but I don't think it is going to end. We got the big money match, Hangman Page versus Matt Hardy. A lot of interference, I guess, there with Private Party near the end there. Dark Order coming out to give a little helping hand, I guess, or helping catch, you can say, at the very end. Push Hangman back in there to do the lariat for the 1, 2, 3. Overall, I'm glad to see Hangman won. I was talking with people last night, and I sort of get it. I like Matt, but there's sometimes I think Matt should just not wrestle as much or be as involved as much because the guy's hips don't move.
Yeah,
Right? So
he can't bend his knees.
yeah, he can't bend his knee. So again, I know I've been crapping on Matt on their BTE stuff a lot lately, but I really just want to see him slow down, step back maybe a little. Like managing Private Party would be great, but just step back. But again, Hangman Page wins his quarterly salary off of Matt Hardy. What did you guys think? And we'll start with you, Mr. Roberts, first.
I really enjoyed this, actually. I thought this was Matt Hardy's best performance in a long time, where especially considering he didn't have to fall off like a 30-foot like ladder or like a truss or crack his skull off concrete, and it wasn't an elite deletion like ridiculousness. So Hangman Page is a future world champ, rising star, and this was a fun story, like all the way through. Like I've enjoyed it. I thought even the video package with like Shivani and Jim Ross doing like the serious sit down talking about Hangman Page graduated from Virginia Tech. He's no dummy. He's a smart guy. He outsmarted Matt Hardy and is like trying to get him drunk and sign a contract, serves him right. Like the storyline has been so ridiculous, and like a quarter earnings match. It's not even a whole year. You couldn't make it that simple. It's only 3 months of worth of salary or whatever.
Well, I mean, he needs beer and liquor money, man. The Hangman didn't want to arrange everything, man. He's tipsy in Tennessee.
I guess so. Why not put a whole year's salary on the line then or something? But I'm not actually criticizing that. I just think the whole thing is ridiculous. But it's been entertaining. Like Matt Hardy's changed characters since joining AEW, 3 or 4 times, trying to find the right fit, whether it be babyface or a heel. And I think this is kind of the closest to something that's really worked, of taking Private Party under his wings and being Big Money Matt and paying TH2 to do beatdowns for him. Here's a check for $1,420 or whatever the hell it was, right?
$3,700, I think.
Yeah, $3,700.
Sure, right? And then the whole dynamic on the other side of Dark Order being so goddamn lovable and recruiting Hangman the whole time and being rejected, and then him kind of coming back around. And this week on BTE, I forgot to mention, Hangman even had the purple cowboy shirt now. He's got his Dark Order cowboy shirt. And just the way they stick up for him, and the celebration at the end where they just had some Hangman Wisers together and they did a big cheers. I've actually been a real sucker for this whole storyline. And I love Hangman Adam Page. And we've been critical of Matt Hardy for a while, but I like him the Big Money Matt character. But to a point, I don't want him oversaturating the television programs. And maybe he will be in the future better suited as a manager for Private Party or a Taz kind of thing, or maybe he can actually wrestle a little bit though. But where he's kind of got his stable, because everyone in AEW has to be in a faction. It seems everybody's in a fucking faction.
It's 97 in WWF, man.
Right? It's they're calling Hangman's a free agent. So it's if you're not in a faction, you're a free agent for a faction kind of thing, right?
Or you're rising. But what did you think,
Yeah,
Mr. Trunk?
I like this match. I think I actually gave this like a numerical rating, which I didn't give to like any other match. I don't know when I was doing with when I was writing it out. I gave it a 7.5 for the match. I thought it was good. I liked how it, Matt was trying to use some cheap tactics to try to, get over the younger and better guy, right? Like fucking with his hand and this and that, so he can't do the buckshot lariat. And Hangman sold it for the majority of the match as well, which I thought was pretty good. This is another match where it seemed like a lot of the finishers weren't protected. At least Matt's weren't. Which was, that has its time and place, which is fine too. Like, because I remember back in the day, there was a time in wrestling where everybody would hit their finisher like 10 times and kick out, right? Like, and then it came back to one time and over. Sorry, I'm going to turn that off.
Oh my god.
Anyways, so
Oh my God.
I thought it was a good match. Like you said, the Dark Order stuff. I like Hangman with the Dark Order because the way that they've now changed since the Brody Lee passing and that being kind of lovable baby faces and whatever, and they're just kind of more about like unity and friendship rather than being like a cult. You know what I mean? I like that aspect, and I agree with Matt Hardy. I like this character because he portrays the sliminess like really well for the character.
Yeah.
But like you said, don't want to see him oversaturating the TV or anything like that. Decent match for him considering he can only move his upper body. So, but yeah, I liked the match. Didn't love it, but I thought it was good.
Good stuff. Mr. Reed.
I mean, don't really have a lot of bad stuff to say about it other than, yeah, I agree. I think Matt Hardy should probably retire at some point in time soon or just move to more of a backstage role. I've loved the whole story with Hangman and the Dark Order, and I think this only furthered that. Like with them coming out and catching him, throwing him in for the buckshot lariat, like it's strength in numbers, but it's also, you got your friends behind your back. I kind of love that, you know what I mean? And not to mention they had I agree with Matt. It's kind of a weird stipulation for quarterly earnings, but I guess like we were saying the other week, it's always like one of those things where they always have to be just a little bit different than WWE.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just their own little
Totally.
twist on it.
It's goofy enough, but it still works in
Yeah.
some weird way. Yeah.
But otherwise, fairly good match. I think Hangman looked great in it. Like, I mean, I never really have any issue with a Hangman match, right? So you know what I mean? So
No, he's a stellar guy, man. He's amazing. He's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Like even better than he is now.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Again, great match. Page will definitely be a star. He's going to be one of those. He's going to be a star for a long time.
He already is.
Yeah, it's a star for a long time. But brings us to the next match, what I call the Face of the Revolution ladder match, the Golden Hemorrhoid Ring on a Pole match.
Sonic's ring.
Yeah,
Sonic.
that
That's my first thought.
Sonic is all elite.
It's when you win it, you get a trip to the Green Hill Zone.
Where you have the following participants: Max Caster, Matt Roberts' favorite, Lance Archer, Pentagon, Cody Rhodes, and the debuting, and probably one of my bigger pops of the night, Ethan Page. You guys know I love him. I'll just give you a couple of moments, top moments of the match. I'm not going to say he wins yet, but I'm going to leave one of these top moments out because I'm going to give it to Mr. Trunk because I know he's going to say this moment. So top moments included with me was, I guess, Page when he did that Razor's Edge to Sky onto the ladder with Archer stuck between his legs. That was fantastic. Little nostalgia pop there, I guess, when Jake Roberts did the short arm clothesline to Page and Roberts taking the super kick from Pentagon. That was one of them. But we'll go to Mr. Trunk there because I know there's a big spot in this match that he definitely enjoyed. What was that, eh?
Well, there was quite a few because it was the return of my favorite wrestler, Pentagon Jr., aka Penta El Cero Miedo. I really loved the Mexican Destroyer on the ladder, which took out Cody in the match, as well as he did a sling blade on Lance Archer. I thought that was a really cool move to have with the ladder, but there was a lot of really good ladder moves in this. I love Scorpio Sky's splash on Caster. That was perfectly timed. There were a few goof ups too, but in a match like this, you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt. I can think of two. Cody had a cutter that was really bad, and then there was one that was like, I think it was supposed to be a neck breaker on Penta from Scorpio Sky, and I think they mistimed it. But that aside, I thought the match was pretty good. I honestly thought like fucking Cody was gonna win it because just like you guys know, I'm not a very big Cody fan because he just likes to make everything about him, regardless if he can't win the title or not. And I thought it was kind of because it's a kayfabe injury with the shoulder and that. I'm like, they have to have the camera panned out so you could see in the thing to keep him in view. And it's just like, just go in the back, man. You're gonna come back out. Like, just don't take away from the match, right? And they were kind of doing that for a little bit, and it's like, stop, just focus on the match here, right? But I really thought it was a good outing. I like that they mixed it up. They used it's nice to always have a big guy in a match like that to shake things up with Archer, because he's a different dynamic than high flyers like Penta or Phoenix, or not Phoenix, Penta or Scorpio Sky. I mean, Ethan Page was a nice addition, but one thing I wanted to mention, I thought that Christian's debut was after this match. I think we had that order wrong because
it was after.
I thought the returning person was supposed to be in this match, that Hall of Fame person. So when I saw it was Ethan Page, I'm like, he's good, but is he like considered Hall of Fame yet? Like, I was just like, this is who it is, and then they said we're gonna reveal who it's gonna be.
Right.
Okay, I'm like,
right.
oh, it's not him. Okay, right. Good match. I liked Cody was good selling for the match, even though he kind of made the focal point of it. Scorpio Sky, it made sense for him to win because he was kind of on Dynamite last week talking about, like, he was really like talking about himself. It looks like he's gonna have a heel turn, if not already. And I think him and Darby will be a good match, but I think if that's this week, I could see Scorpio Sky winning that match this week.
Oh, Scorpio Sky.
Because I don't know. I think that the Darby should defend it more. Not every week like Cody did, but like I can think of one match he had defending it against
Brian
Janela.
Cage. And Brian Cage he beat.
Cage, yeah.
Oh yeah, so two. But he's had the belt for 4 or 5 months, like, and he's defended it twice. Like,
He's been tied up with Sting, I guess, right?
I know they're kind of building on. They were kind of building on that, but
It's almost bigger than the TNT title when he's with Sting.
yeah. Anyways, it was a good match overall. I liked seeing Max Caster in there too because he could hang with them. He did a pretty good job hanging with them.
Oh yeah, he did.
He's the weakest guy, but he still hangs with them, and you can tell he could be a good singles guy down the road for that team in at least the mid card.
What about you, Mr. Reed?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have an issue with this match by any means. I do like Ethan Page coming in. That's pretty cool. And he honestly, he shined big time in this match.
He looked well. He looked good.
Yeah.
And he looked ripped. Compared to what he normally looks like, we see him here in Toronto a lot in the indie stuff. He looked freaking ripped comparably than what he's been. So,
I mean, like, I like Scorpio Sky winning it. I only feel like it might be a push because they've really been pushing his recent podcast. I know I bring this up every week, but but his podcast has been gaining a lot of traction on AEW, so it could be a business ploy for him to be the big thing. So I don't know. Like,
I also think they should give him a push before he gets too old.
yeah,
He's
probably
like
a good idea.
about 38, right?
Yeah.
And my thought was, once I knew Pac and Phoenix won that I was like, okay, Penta's not winning the ladder. They're not all, that triangle's not going to win everything. You know?
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Roberts?
These ladder matches are always spectacular and always take your breath away with all the crazy shit they do. One thing I kind of feel like they need to maybe all wrestling promotions might need to pull back a bit on the ladder match, because I feel like how many of them have there been? And like
Right.
I used to get so excited for them, and I don't quite as much as I used to, even though they are always breathtaking. And I couldn't help but laugh at the literally putting a brass ring above the ring with the Sonic Hedgehog gold ring. I was like, wow, they are literally there is not one inside baseball reference or whatever that they won't grab a hold on there. Yeah, Ethan Page being the special guest, sure, it's fine. I've never been a big Impact watcher, so I wasn't too familiar with him. I remember him from All In a bit and a few things, but I wasn't too familiar, so I can't say I was overly hyped for that. And honestly, Jake the Snake taking him out, I thought kind of made him look not great. Jake the Snake's kind of hit that clothesline on a few people recently, and it's like, okay, Jake can barely get down the ramp. When is someone going to kick his head off or something? But yeah, right. But there was one part that stuck out for me. It was Jim Ross on commentary talking about Cody Rhodes, and Jim Ross said that Cody took himself out of the AEW title picture, which is still a head scratcher to me. And it's like, yeah, losing that match to MJF, and Cody can never challenge for the AEW title again. This is what, a few months into the existence of AEW. And I'm just
2019.
Yeah, right. So I'm wondering, how long till they find a way out of that? Does Cody always stay in this TNT title picture? Because I feel like he will have that AEW title eventually. It's only a matter of time. But
I think what's going to happen with Cody is MJF is going to win the belt eventually, and then Cody's going to do something so bad to MJF, and MJF's going to go, forget that stipulation. I want to fucking kill you type thing.
You know what? Too when Cody was introducing that angle with Shaq and Jade Cargill initially, before Christmas there, before Jade Cargill interrupted that Cody promo, Cody was about to get something off his chest, and he says, MJF, I'm not done with you. And then Jade Cargill came out and started the whole Shaq thing. But we've never heard a word about that since. So that might be because there is unfinished business there. And also a funny story I heard today, listening to Post Wrestling, John Pollock and Wei Ting. John said he got a note during the show that the Spanish commentary, when Ethan Page came out, they called him Christian Cage.
What?
They spoiled it on the Spanish commentary.
Christian Cage.
Yeah, and it's like, who the fuck's doing your commentary that doesn't know Christian, or how they messed that up or whatever? But I thought that was pretty funny. I wanted to point that out.
I didn't know that. That's a good point.
Right?
Good point.
The one thing I think with Cody, why he doesn't challenge for the AEW championship is because, in my opinion, I think he tries to book himself to look amazing all the time, like a giant killer, this and that.
You're totally right. That is he has big angles besides.
And my whole point is he can say, well, I'm not like Triple H. I'm not in the title picture, so I'm not booking myself to the top. And that's his reason to defend what he does now. That's what I think.
That does make sense.
I think he's a slimy dude. I don't like him, even personally. I think he's a phony. But and I'd say that to his face. I don't give a shit. But
everybody at Cody Rhodes right now. No, just kidding.
Not like he'll be on the podcast anytime soon. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I think in the ring he's pretty good. He cuts good promos. He's good. I just don't think he's the draw that he thinks he is. I think if Jericho went off AEW right now and Sting, their ratings would plummet dramatically. And I love AEW, and I hate to say that about them, but I'm honest too. I like to be honest with my things, right? There's a lot of AEW people that won't say a bad thing, even if they think it, right?
True. So we come now, I guess, into my surprise of the night. I actually will put this as a surprise of the night. I really enjoyed it. It's the Darby Allin Sting versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks cinematic match. Now, you heard me talk about this before. Again, I wasn't looking forward to it. I don't want to see Sting wrestle unless it's a cinematic match. But this really impressed me. You have, well, I'm going to let Eric Reed go first on this, because I know he really enjoyed it, and tell you a little more about this match, because it was unique. And again, I really enjoyed it. So Eric, what did you think? Or tell us about the match.
You know what? I just thought in general, I thought it was great. They had great cinematography for the match, which is huge for a cinematic match. And you also have things like, I mean, that pan shot from the ring where Starks is getting beat up by Starks is getting beat up by Sting. And then you have that pan shot over the pit from Arkham Asylum over to Sting and fucking Cage and Allen fighting, and he getting tossed through the door. Like, everything about it screamed like it was more action movie than it was wrestling match. Yeah. But then the only thing I didn't like about it was the fact that the wrestling ring was thrown in as like a stip. It's like, that should have been a Falls Count Anywhere match. Why are we doing? It's a street fight. It's supposed to be, everything's supposed to be out in the open. We do hardcore. It doesn't matter, right? So, like, why have the ring introduced? But I get it. Also, I'm wondering what jobbers are going to come out years later and say they were the Sting Druids on this one. But otherwise, a great match. I thought it was fantastic. I was kind of wondering if they would go the opposite direction with Sting after how good he looked taking. Well, he took the power bomb from Brian Cage a couple weeks before, but he looked good throwing those stinger splashes and stuff on Dynamite and everything. So I was wondering why they didn't really go with a big match, but I guess it makes sense. Like, they've kind of already invested money into something like this, so it's like, better see it through. I don't know. Pretty good match, though. It was my favorite match of the night, actually. Well, second, obviously.
There you go. Good points. What about you, Mr. Roberts?
I thought this match was fucking awesome. Darby and Sting, I just think they've made a pretty cool team. Like, Darby Allin especially, for like a fresh new talent in the world of wrestling. No prior like WWE stink or anything like that you want to say. I'm all in on, like, this guy is like a character and a wrestler. Like, I love what he's doing. It's different. It's cool. It's unique. I thought Team Taz is really shining this whole feud as, like, being big badass motherfuckers. I thought the brawling was great. The spots were great. Darby's dive from the second floor through, like, the crash pad and all that shit they had set up, like, looked amazing. Even the shot at the beginning when Ricky and Brian Cage getting in what kind of car, that lime green sports car they got in. Yeah. And they had a cool camera shot that went from the passenger side through the driver and up above the car. And like Eric said, the cinematography was really well done in this. I enjoyed watching it. It might be my match of the night as well, too. Like, I had a lot of fun watching it. I thought they did a really good job. And I like the characters all involved. So, like, it had me from that respect. I thought Sting looked really good. We even had appearances from Hobbs and Hook in the match. They had Taz on commentary to kind of show that it, like, he's not there and, like, it was pre-taped or whatever, so he's doing live commentary over top of it. But I was glad Sting gets the win with the Scorpion Death Drop. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Maybe something I'm forgetting to add or whatever, but I've watched it twice, like, since yesterday, and I thought it was really well done.
So, what about you, Mr. Trunk?
I thought it was probably, in terms of, like, the cinematic matches that I've seen throughout the big companies, I saw, like, the Undertaker and AJ Styles, and then there was the Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara. That was kind of cinematic, right? That one, Hurricane and Gangrel and shit. I thought this one was probably the best, like the best one. It wasn't like it was overdone, but it didn't feel overdone like those ones. And like those ones, I felt like ran long. Where this kind of was like this was like the right amount of time. It didn't feel like a long, like I was getting like, okay, this is too long. Like let's get to the next part, kind of thing. It flowed pretty well. What Eric said about having the ring as like the pin, I wonder if that was like the plan or if they just never covered anywhere else. And it just ended up to be in the back of the ring, which I thought was kind of a cool angle. I think Sting can still do a bit in a match, and I think he could do a non-cinematic match and be all right. I did notice that I think there was one edit in there. He ends up doing a sunset flip on Starks, and it kind of the camera just it looks like it like edited because it just kind of quickly does it. And I'm thinking they probably did a couple takes for that to make it look good. But otherwise, I thought Sting looked good for his age. I don't mind him doing things sparingly. Darby's good. He's definitely over. I think he's just. I think that would be cool if they actually turn one of them turns on each other. I think that would be a cool storyline to have. I don't know how a match they would do, but I think it would be a cool storyline to go against each other because I think they need to drop the Team Taz stuff now with Darby and Sting. I think it's like, Darby and Sting win and it's over and Team Taz kind of goes on to do another thing. And I think that Bryan needs to leave that faction. I think he's hurting himself staying there because it was okay when Taz was just his manager, but with this whole faction, it was like the best thing Bryan's done was at Double or Nothing last year. And they just kind of haven't done shit with him since because they're always putting him in a storyline where he isn't going over, where he should be in a storyline where he is going over because he's a fucking machine, man. Like, then he's like, dude, he's like probably the strongest guy there, man. Like, you really need to push him because, like, now they got to kind of repackage him, kind of like they did with Archer, right? Like, you have to. They have to end that angle. And Sting and Darby, it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Maybe they should go quiet for a little bit after maybe, just quiet for a bit and then bring something else new in with them. But I liked it. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a good, for cinematic, good quality. It was good.
Great points, Eric. Again, I enjoyed it a lot. Way better, like even from the beginning with Darby on the skateboard, Sting in the pickup truck, the car, like Eric said, with Starks and Cage. There was one really cool spot when Cage and Starks throw Darby through the window to the wall.
Oh, that was great.
Like, you know what I mean? That was a cool spot.
Oh, and Darby Allin jumping up on the wall like Spider-Man.
That's right.
Yeah.
right at the beginning. That was sick too. That was sick.
Now, I would have gave this as a cinematic match almost a perfect score if there is one thing out of it. And guess what that one thing to me was?
Taz on commentary?
All the commentary. There should have been no commentary, just the music. I think that would have been the best thing for that match. To me. Other than that, man, I loved it.
I think it was, you're right.
Well, you wanted it more like the AJ Styles and Undertaker match, right?
Yeah.
The Boneyard match would have been a better example to set for that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
The commentary's out of place on that.
Right. And they told a good story. Like, the story was good. The hoodlums there, when Hobbs and Hook came, like, the whole story was good. When they showed that, we obviously knew what was going to happen when they had that board across that pit. But I was hoping they'd look down in the pit and you see like 5 stories down, like, you know what I mean, at the bottom of the prison type thing. But they didn't. Like, me and Eric talked about it earlier. They had like smoke when they did that pan shot, like underneath it. Yeah. But all in all, and Darby produced this. Tony Khan said Darby produced 9% of this last night. Damn. So good job, Darby. Like the black and white, the whole thing. Bravo. Again, I know a lot of other people are saying it wasn't good. Minus the commentary, I think it was absolutely cool.
The intro was cool too, with Darby hitching a ride on Sting's truck with the skateboard and driving. Like, the entrances were cool.
Yeah, the sports car. Yeah,
you had the big Yeah, you had Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, the Hollywood superstars, and the Lamborghini coming in, and then you had Sting and Darby on a skateboard and a pickup truck. Listen to Sting's music on an AM radio, right?
Country and Western.
Yeah, country and Western, or whatever it was.
Nine Inch Nails for Darby.
Yeah, good job.
No, it was fun. It was good.
Good job. So it brings us to the last match of the night, the exploding barbed wire death match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley to settle the score once and for all. To me, great. Till one spot. And I know the biggest fan in the world out here, and I'm going to let him go first to talk about his man, Mr. Matt Roberts.
Oh, man.
Go ahead. Tell us about the match. What? It's not Max Caster, I know. It's
where do I start with this? Man. Okay. The match was fantastic. I was enjoying it. Everybody who's listening to this probably knows how it ended and what a fart in church the ending of that match was with. I don't know what. Okay, I'll just get right to it at the end. Tony Khan's already kind of coming out and saying that this was part of the plan and storyline wise, or Kenny made the ring, but he did a shitty job of wiring the explosion at the end. And Jon Moxley, even after the pay-per-view went off the air, cut a promo to the live crowd where he said, well, Kenny might have tried to kill me, but he can't make a death ring to save his life or whatever, right? And Eddie Kingston coming out at the end, I would bit hook, line, and sinker. Here comes Eddie Kingston to save his best friend, or supposed best friend, with all their history of Jon Moxley to throw himself over. And I was waiting for it. The countdown was perfect. The match was brutal. All the explosions up to that point were impressive.
Yeah.
Every time they went off the rope, the barbed wire bat was great. Mm-hmm. The Death Rider off the apron onto the barbed wire board and explosion on the floor. Everything was great. And then as Eddie Kingston covers Kenny right at the end, it's like Gilbert pyro, coming off,
the sparkler.
Yeah. And so it was fuck. AEW, this whole show, the entire pay-per-view was built to this climax, this single point, and they fucked it up. Whether they want to admit they fucked it up or not, they fucked it up. And that's all anybody's going to remember now, which is a damn shame because it was a great match before. Kenny in his white deathmatch shirt coming out in jeans, looking like Terry Funk or whatever. Everything about it was great. Even the vignettes of Kenny making the contraption, it reminded me of the vignettes of The Undertaker when he used to carve out the casket built to shape for Yokozuna and whoever, right?
That's a big fucking casket.
Yeah. But everything going, I was so excited for it. And it's too bad about the ending, and it made Eddie Kingston look foolish for selling it after the fact. But now they're doing damage control. They were even they were doing copyright things on GIFs and videos on Twitter of anyone who put this video out there. They were trying to shut down, and their spin is already there from Tony Khan of, the story is that Kenny just didn't build it right. And it's no,
the owner of the company is blaming the employee, right?
Well, he's trying to put it
on the owner of the company at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
But the excuse is in storyline mode too. Is obviously Kenny didn't actually make any of this shit himself either, right? So I don't know. I think they kind of panicked with the botch at the end of this, and it is going to be on botch reels for years and years and years to come.
Botchamania.
Yeah, and it really takes away what was a pretty brutal match. Moxley was bleeding really impressively. All the spots were great. The one-winged angel on the chair for the finish was awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
The Good Brothers interference at the end kind of had me groaning a little bit. But
it's to keep that heat though with Kenny.
Yeah,
right? Because if Kenny beat him cleanly with just the weapons, how does that keep his heelness up, right?
Absolutely, and it had to be part of that storyline because they've been involved in this the whole way through with him and Callis. So I can't actually criticize that too much. But again, the match built so well, so when Eddie came running out to try to save John, handcuffed in the middle of the ring, I was waiting for it. I was this is a perfect ending. And you write off Moxley for a couple months. You write off Kingston. You have them come back as a pair of baby faces together. It's going to be great. And now Kingston looks like a fool. Moxley, well, whatever. They fucked it up at the end, and it's too bad because I really enjoyed it up to that point.
Yeah, poor Kingston. That's all I kept thinking. He can sell a Skittle, but he couldn't. There's no selling of what happened.
Best promo in the business. It's
Oh,
too bad
God.
it's not his fault, unfortunately. But like,
No.
what do you do? It's a curse of live TV, right? I mean,
Right. Well, what did you think, Mr. Trump?
okay, well, so I liked the match. Just to add on what Matt said, like the match constructively went really well and I like that AEW's trying to use like a match that's like it's been done before, but it's not like it's used all the time. Like they used like ladder match used all the time, but they also use something that doesn't get used a lot. It was a good match. I thought it was going to go a little longer but I didn't realize it was only a 30-minute thing on it. But one thing I wanted to mention too was a lot of people are like, is the barbed wire real? And what it is the wire's real. And some of the barb is, but most of the barb apparently is plastic or rubber. And they have some so you can, draw blood and whatnot. But I remember reading Mick Foley's book and he was saying that. So I'm wondering if the same thing applied here. I imagine it did because they would have been bleeding way more when get hit with those bats and stuff. But it still looked raw. It still looked good. Like Matt said, the ending, unfortunately, I loved what they were trying to do with Kingston covering them up and stuff like that. But my thought was, why didn't you just have all like the ropes go off with the explosions on the ropes? Maybe make a lot of smoke so people can't really see, the camera can't really see. It's like, what happened or whatever, right? And then they could have had like maybe some blood packs in like the back of like Eddie's like attire, and then like it could have gone off when the explosions were going on. Then you see like Eddie's hurt. It took a bunch of the hits for Moxley by covering him up. Like it could have been planned better. It's like almost like they should have done a fucking dry run with it. I mean, Tony Khan's got the budget, right? Like, so I thought it was a good match. I prefer their match at Full Gear over this one. Maybe because of the ending, but I also think that they had a barbed wire spot, a big barbed wire spot in Full Gear as well. So even though they had this match and it was cool and kind of fresh, it kind of that spot with that kind of already like, especially the one on the outside with the paradigm shift, that kind of like already happened. So that was like not as fresh for me because that was like one of my favorite matches in 2019 for AEW. But it was a good match. Just unfortunately not a solid ending, but like I said, curse of live TV sometimes. And, goofs happen on there. Like we've seen it from the best of companies and the worst. So
That's right.
I'm wondering if something didn't go off. Like, is that all they had planned and it went off as a hitch, and they're just like, shit, maybe we should have put more, or if they had more ready to go off that just didn't go or something. I don't know which one it is.
Maybe, yeah.
You know what? All they had to do? They had to just follow the simple plan as all these other matches, death matches is gone. Turn off the lights and let the explosions happen and the lights turn back on and everybody's dead.
It's simple. Yeah, simple. And, yeah.
That's it. Turn off the lights for one brief second. Right? Bang, bang. Even those fireworks that were there could have made it look a lot better. What about you, Eric? What do you think? We put a lot into it already.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I would say I like the idea of them turning off the lights. I think if it wasn't what they had planned, like when it exploded like that, I don't think they would have been that quick to get in the ring afterwards. Because I don't know if you've ever lit off a firework and it's never got off, but I've seen it go off like 10 seconds later. You know what I mean? Like anybody who's a pyrotechnic or a pyrotechnician or something would know, hey, give it a second and then let's see if it goes off. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, because that's how you lose an eye or a fucking side of your head. You know what I mean? So maybe this is all something just to get eyes on it. Like it could be. I would hope not, because it's a terrible plan. But like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they might have thought, hey, let's make this big explosion. People will be talking about this. If we turned up the lights, like, it is simple, and you can leave it up to the imagination that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people will be like, oh, that's a fucking easy way out, right? Like, that's what a lot of people will say.
Yeah. I don't know. Altogether, I love the match, though. And I'm a big fan of hardcore matches, and I thought Moxley really shined on this match. I know I was kind of giving him shit last week about the whole him being in a hardcore match every single match he is, but how can you hate it? You know what I mean?
Moxley. Yeah, Moxley's a badass motherfucker. Say what you want about him, but I like him because I believe every word he fucking says.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he's pretty legit. And
when he grabbed that barbed wire and put it in his hand and around his arm like he did the last time, and then put it around his hand the second time. You a fucking tough son of a bitch. I don't give a shit. Even if it was plastic, I don't even give a shit how it looked. Tough, like he's tough son of a bitch.
That shades of CCW there, right there.
Yeah, they're both very tough.
Yeah.
And CCW know that they weren't having plastic barbed wire; they couldn't afford it.
No,
they wouldn't be able to afford
it. They're like near death every match. Literal death match almost.
Yeah.
And you guys notice too. Just one last thing for me. Is the ending of that match was a throwback to Anita and Terry Funk's death match in Japan, where Anita beat Funk. He left him in the ring for the countdown, and Anita ran back and jumped on Funk because he's like, I can't leave him in here for the explosion. So there's a little bit of a throwback to that.
Yeah.
And it's too bad they couldn't get Anita in the States too in time, because I think they wanted to have him there, but he would have had to quarantine and missed a show. So that's why he did those. Onita was doing those video packages from Japan.
Are you sure about that though? Because
that's what I read.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what with Mackie, she came like in 24 hours. Why didn't she quarantine? That's what I thought too.
That's a good point.
Too.
Rapid test,
maybe.
Know.
I have no clue.
Rapid test? I don't know. Maybe it's different there than it is here.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question though, Ren. I would have to look it up again, because the story on that had come out somewhere in the wrestling.
But I agree with you. I like your point of having him there. That's an absolutely good point. He should have been there. That would have been great to see.
I'm pretty sure Tony Khan wanted him there, and for some reason, I guess maybe it's logistical. Something didn't quite work out.
Right.
And Funk probably wouldn't have been there regardless, because he's in really, really poor health now.
Yeah, Terry is not doing well at all. Yeah, Dustin Rhodes even put a tweet out about that recently. So he's not doing good,
But all around, I guess we'll just go over the show. All around, I enjoyed the show very, very much. Again, I wasn't we talked about it the last couple of weeks. With all the stiffs, I wasn't looking forward to it as much. But in my eyes, I think that's why it made it even better. You know what I mean? I expected so little and got so much. So, other than a couple of matches, the whole show was great. Like the cinematic match, so on and so forth. Match of the night, probably for me, minus the ending, was the Kenny match, obviously. And we'll go to our guest first, Eric Trump.
Okay, so I thought that the pay-per-view was overall successful. I thought it was better than Revolution last year. Definitely. Wasn't as good as their last pay-per-view, Full Gear 2020. I thought that was probably their best pay-per-view they've had thus far in the company. But I would say high point probably for me. I like the end match, but I'm thinking the ladder match for me. The ladder or the cinematic, and then for the stinker, probably either Miro and Kip or the women's title.
Good choice.
Good match, good show. I hope that the Double or Nothing will at least be as good, if not better.
Good stuff. What about yourself, Mr. Reed?
You know what? I'll give it to the Sting match. Honestly, I thought it was actually the best match of the night, and really only because it's, for me personally as a kid, I always watched WCW more than I watched WWE, and I mean Eric can attest to that. We used to watch it at his place every single night. So for me, like,
I still have the Sting frame that you got me. Remember that?
I do
the
remember.
black thing? I still got it. The red and black Sting. It's awesome.
I do the old tomato Sting. We know, but the
Matt looks up.
the tomato Sting. yeah. No, I don't know. I loved that match, and I thought this pay-per-view was not necessarily overbooked, but it was more like, it was just kind of like, it felt a little long only because of the lull in the middle where you have, like, you know, the Miro and Kip Sabian match, and then also the women's match. But I think they needed that to kind of fill out their card. So otherwise, I would rate it a total success. I thought it was great. Every other match on that was fantastic.
And Mr. Roberts, last but definitely not least.
Man, I was so looking forward to that Kenny Moxley match, and I loved every second of it. And I'm so mad about how it ended, because that just pisses me off that that's the way it's going to be remembered now. Because it was so much fun, and like Moxley and Kenny are my two favorite guys going right now. And so like I want to pick. So it's a toss up for me. Like, it would have been hands down that match if the ending had gone off like the way I guess was intended. It's between that and the Sting and Darby match. It's hard for me to pick one or the other, but I really enjoyed those two, with probably the Young Bucks and against Jericho MJF is like number 3 for me. So yeah, that'd probably be my top right there. Like the cinematic match and Kenny and Mox tied for 1, and then like Young Bucks and against Jericho MJF like tied for 3rd or down at 3rd.
Good choice.
I enjoyed the show. All in all, I did enjoy the show.
So there's your consensus, folks. We all enjoyed the show, no matter what the internet thinks. Right? It only matters what we think. No, I'm joking. But that was our review, I guess, of Revolution this year, AEW Revolution. Before we go further, I just wanted to thank our guest tonight, and hopefully he can come out again, Mr. Eric Trunk.
Thanks.
We really appreciate you coming out and your feedback.
I love this. This is fun.
Great to have you. Really appreciate it. I guess, guys, I don't know. I told everybody out there I wasn't even supposed to be here today. Something happened last week, though, during one of the procedures. But we got a big announcement, don't we? Where's the smiles, guys?
We do.
Where's the smiles?
Do you want me to give you the Mackie too? Surprise, some motherfuckers.
Yeah, you
You gotta do the head.
I am the shit queen.
I am the shit queen. The Scheisse.
But you guys enjoyed the Just Incredible interview last week, and we know it because we see the results in on this end. So all of a sudden, we got a sponsor, dudes. Got a sponsor. JT Reed's Sauces and Salsa.
Yeah.
Thank you for sponsors. And guess what he wants us to do?
Chug a bottle live on the air.
Oh yeah, or do a one chip. Remember that?
Yeah,
That's exactly the hot. I did that chip thing with him.
Yeah.
But he wants us to do, and you guys already know because we were talking to him, a monthly show with Just Incredible. We don't know what's going to be called yet, but guess what? Dark Side of the Elite, Just Incredible together, going to talk AEW Dynamite for the month, as well as an ECW locker talk type thing. Maybe give him 5-10 minutes just to talk about maybe one of his matches in ECW or whatever match he wants to bring up. So we are definitely looking forward, and that will probably start the end of this month, beginning of next month. So from what I'm hearing. So thank you, Jordan from JT Reed's. That'll be my first thank you. But Eric, I guess you can start with your thank yous right off the bat. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. If you can, give us a follow on Twitter at Dark Side of the E. Instagram at Dark Side of the Elite. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, you name it, we're on it. Dark Side of the Elite. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at E_Shivy. And you will find most of my band stuff there. You'll have the Shivvies, starring me and Matt, and New Age Outlaws with me and the singer from the Shivvies and another couple of people. It's pretty much just the Shivvies reincarnated. So, you know. And Matt, do you have anybody or anything you want to thank?
Just want to thank you guys for putting together a great couple hours here of wrestling talk today. Always enjoyed chatting with the boys, a little shop. So yeah, follow me on Twitter at mroberts85. Hope you guys enjoy these reviews. We like doing them for you. So keep listening. We'll keep doing them. Talk to you guys next time.
Yes, and then Mr. Trunk, what about you? You Mr. Pentagon. You can definitely put your socials out there. Let them follow you and listen to you as well.
Okay, so I don't have a Twitter. I don't like it, but but I do have an Instagram, and if you want to check it out, it's mostly my comic books and stuff like that. I put my tattoos on there. I would be getting my Pentagon Junior inspired tattoo next. That'll be on the 24th of March. So check out that. It'll be at ET_Scrapper.
Fantastic. And again, thank you for having us on the show. Thank you for having us on the show. Thank you for being on our show.
For inviting me. Come back next week, please.
There you go. But all in all, good show. Thank you guys again. If you want to go follow me, watch this, Eric. Follow me at Twitter at WeTheDarkOrder1. That's Twitter. What?
So you got it on the second time around, eh?
It's WeTheDarkOrder1 on Twitter. Go follow our Facebook page, Dark Side of the Elite, as well as We the Dark Order North. Our YouTube channels, don't forget about that. Dark Side of the Elite, We the Dark Order North. Again, thank you all. Excited for things to come. Just incredible, guys. We got just incredible coming up. And thank you again, Eric. And until next time, I guess, come on. Join us.
Throw the dabs up.
Put the paws up.
Thanks, guys.